What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Head Kick Radio. Justin sitting in here in studio with me. Justin, what's up, buddy?
Not too much, man. It's been a while. We've both been very busy. You've been having a lot of guests on, and I went on a little vacation and just work, and life is happening.
Yeah.
But it's good to be back, man. How are you?
I'm good. So we got to tell the listeners the little mishap. What happened last time we sat down to do a podcast.
Boy.
I did the Mojave update on my MacBook, and I didn't realize that it resets your whole settings, and I couldn't get the tracks to record. And so we sat here for about an hour trying to figure out how to get it to work, even like Googling it, and Google didn't have anything talking about how to fix it. Turns out that in the system preferences in the microphone, that it like unchecked the box that enabled the microphone to be recorded on the laptop.
Now, is that through the app that we use to record this, or is it just like your Mac settings?
It's the system preferences under microphone for the Mac settings. Like no microphone would work. Like, I mean, I could hear things,
right? But
I could not say things.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't let it go back through the interface.
And then just the cherry on top of it, on the way over to your apartment that day, I happened to
little fender bender.
Put some damage on my car a little bit.
Well, I thought it happened throughout the night. Didn't you get hit while it was parked at night?
No.
No. So
no.
Okay.
I
feel lied to.
It was my fault, but I'm getting it fixed. It's gonna be fine. It's just like I said, man. It's life. It happens. Lesson learned.
That's very true. I got a hard hitting question right here for you.
Oh boy, let's do it. What's going on, man?
If you were a professional MMA fighter, would you be on a strict diet?
Absolutely.
Can I ask you the most important question in life now?
Yeah.
Why don't you live by that diet right now?
Because sugar is good. No, I'm just playing, man. I know sugar is like the worst, like one of the worst things on the planet for you. But I don't know, man. I have been eating a little bit better, but what's that saying? I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Dude, I haven't heard that since I was like 18, and that's when we all thought we were dying young.
No, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I try to eat cleaner. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like when I was younger, like when I was like early, I'm only 28. I'm not old, but like 18 to like 25, dude, I literally ate anything I wanted, like whatever. Because I was, in high school when you play those organized sports, you kind of do watch what you eat, and you're living with family and stuff like that. They kind of.
I did not. I mean,
no.
No. I back in high school, I didn't watch anything I ate. I just worked out hard enough that I stayed somewhat fit.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I was sitting there like on a keto diet before it was like a thing or anything. But I would cut back on like the soda and stuff like that during football season, and like just like try to focus on like chicken and stuff like. I mean, my family ate. My family prefers chicken meat wise over anything else, really.
Yeah.
But
have you noticed diets have changed so much just in 10 years?
Oh yeah.
Like keto wasn't a thing.
No.
At least it wasn't called keto, 10 years ago when we were 18, 19.
Yeah. I'm almost embarrassed to. I mean, I'm gonna put this out on air, but I didn't know what kale was probably until close to like a decade ago. I didn't even know it was like a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was when I was 18.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
I mean, I've seen it, but I just didn't, couldn't put a name to it.
Like, oh wait, and then this might even be worse, but I'm like, oh, there's different types of lettuce. I'm like, oh, I just thought there was just the green head of lettuce.
Okay, I did know there was a difference in types of lettuce. Like, there's a difference in types of salads.
I mean, I don't know, but to get back to your original question, why don't I diet now, or like, why aren't I on a stricter diet? I don't have a good answer for you. DC is a self-proclaimed foodie, as he likes to say. That's why he talks about how he loves the fact that he doesn't have to cut weight anymore. He can still kind of. I mean, what do you weigh in at for his fight?
251.
Yeah, so I mean, he was a big boy.
Yeah, because I thought about that, because I think he weighed in at like 245, 247 for his last title fight before Lewis.
Yeah, and then I remember when he was doing his like media tour, he was on the Dan Le Batard podcast or show. I can't remember which one, and Dan Le Batard was like, "Oh, what are you coming in at?" Or like, do you like something about his weight, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a belly." He's like, "I've always had a belly," but he was like 205. He's like, having to cut to do that was just miserable for him. But getting off subject here.
No, it's still on subject. Because I used to, when I gained some weight, I used to have a belly and things like that. And I used to tell myself in my head, I'm like, yeah, I may have this belly, but I'm still a little athletic.
Yeah. Did you wrestle in high school or anything like that growing up?
Just in the off season, never during season, and never cut weight for him. I only was like, I was kind of like what they, in fighting they call like a camp body. I was kind of that.
So you kind of
just to get out of
where I
weightlifting.
was going with that, because I was going to ask, like, you are kind of prone to like cutting weight. Like if you were a wrestler, you probably were a little bit ahead of the curve if you wrestled in high school, because you did have to cut weight and kind of watch what you ate and stuff like that. I remember when I was growing up and I was in my early teens, like my cousin in high school was a wrestler, and like we'd go on vacation. He couldn't eat Thanksgiving dinner because he had a wrestling tournament that weekend and all this kind of, and he was cutting weight and he was just not miserable, but he was just.
I had the same cousin that I think I've told the story on the podcast of how he was such a dominant wrestler in high school, and his senior year he lost in the state finals to a kid who, the only person I've ever seen manhandle him, but every Thanksgiving would roll around and he could not eat what we were eating. Like he'd get like just maybe a couple little strips of turkey and maybe like one little spoonful of like mashed potatoes, and like that was it.
Okay.
Like he didn't get any of the other sweet stuff, or he got like just like a spoonful of carbs and a little bit of turkey, and then a face full of tears because he was watching all of us eat and he just wasn't happy. I remember he either texted me or called me one time when he was finally done after high school and decided he wasn't going to do the college route anymore, and he was like, man, I'm looking forward to eating a Thanksgiving meal so badly.
Yeah.
And I said, dude, congrats, you've earned it.
And you know what? The bad part is this is my favorite time of the year for like food, because it means like a lot of like soups, chili, you know what I mean? Like you got Thanksgiving, you're cooking hams or whatever for Christmas.
I think that's where our heritages, they differ a little bit. Is
really?
Like, yeah, I think that you and your family do like chilies and things like that. And my family, we don't. It's either ham or turkey. Like we're plain Jane, and it's one day. It's not like we all make a bunch of meals throughout the week or weekend when we all get together.
We don't. Like my family doesn't do that either. Like Sunday was really the big day for cooking. Like I'm making a huge pot of chili, and we're basically eating that through Wednesday, and then. Or I mean, you know what I mean, for dinner, we're at least having that through Wednesday, not when you're at school or whatever.
Right.
But then Thursday, Friday, mom would probably cook a little something, because it's just me, my mom, my sister growing up, so single mom, so she didn't really have time to, stay at home and do a home cooked meal every night. There's a lot of, hamburger help, hamburger helper and stuff.
Yeah, something
like
you got to throw together pretty quickly to feed everybody.
But like we'd only do like I said, we'd only do like one big meal a week, but. Like in the fall / winter, that's when you would do like big pots of chili, homemade chicken noodle soup. My grandpa does a 13 bean soup.
I was about to say the chili and the bean soups and stuff, like that's the only like thing that I get excited for when it comes to cold weather, is because like I think the cold weather food that people tend to make is so much better than the summer weather food, other than like grilling out.
And that's exactly what I mean. Like it's the best time of the year to eat. For like, it's my favorite time of the year, because like in the middle of the summer it's 110 degrees. You don't want a pot of chili.
Dude, hang on, time out.
I mean, I would do it because I'm crazy when it comes to food.
Let's stop ourselves, because we just went ultimately from talking about dieting to being complete fatties here. And,
yeah,
and I just caught this, and I can't let it continue.
Let's go back. So, yeah, I mean, because I still do, as far as like the whole dieting, like I still do like a little bit of soda every week, and that is literally probably one of the worst things you can probably drink.
I think it is. I that's just sugar death to me.
Yeah.
Anybody that drinks soda is just asking for type 2 diabetes and any other, like hardened insides.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just, I remember once on the Joe Rogan podcast, Joey Diaz was talking about it. He talked about, Coke doesn't even like taste good. It's just more of like you love the burn of like all like the fizziness and everything. I mean, I
like the carbonation.
Yeah, I love there's nothing better for me than like a nice cold pop, and then like a juicy burger, or like a slice of pizza or something like that. I'm not a big person I don't like to drink alcohol or anything when I'm eating my meal. It's just never really been for me. I either like water or some kind of like like a lemonade, or like some kind of like something like that. But I probably should diet more, because this time of the year is when you usually put on weight instead of, losing it. So I probably should diet more, but I really don't have a good reason as to why I don't do it. So, yeah. I mean, you kind of follow a pretty decent meal plan right now.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, see, that's why I want to bring it up, because for the first time in, I want to say at least a good 2 years, I've kind of fallen off track for more than 2 weeks. Like,
really?
Yeah, and I've been usually I'm pretty good about it,
Yeah.
but I've found myself eating more candy as the weather's gotten cold, and dude, it's kind of been bumming me out. And so I woke up one day just not too like a few days ago. Actually, it was last weekend, and I just said to myself, I said, Steven, I said, the BS stops here.
Yeah.
I was like, you stop doing this to yourself, because you're not happy doing it. You know, the mouth pleasure is not worth it. You have to fix this, and you have to fix this right now. So for the past week, I've been eating a little bit better. There was one day, like, I did something I would never do during that after I said the BS stops, and I ate some gummy worms. And I don't eat anything like that, but I ate those, and I felt so bad. But after that, I was like, nope, no more. And I've been good since.
Well, that's fantastic, man. I'm happy for it. I'm proud of you for doing all that stuff. But, I mean, every once in a while, man, you got to treat yourself to a little something. I mean, and I'm not saying eating healthy, it's not that food's not good or anything, but, I mean, come on. It's not gonna kill you if you eat a handful of gummy worms or get just one of those little packets. Yeah, I mean, don't
especially since that was like the first time in like 3 years I ate something like that.
Yeah, I mean, don't make it a daily routine, but yeah, once every 3, that's not going to hurt you. I mean, yeah.
I disagree. I think it is. Once you let something like that in, then the chances of you letting it in again are a lot higher. Well, so just keep it out. It's the same reason why I've been soda free for over 3 years, is because there's no need for it, and but I don't crave it, but I do crave water, like we were talking about during meals.
Yeah, but you also have really good self-discipline, and I think that's what a lot of it is, because it's like easy at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday if you're just sitting there watching the end of the college football games, like, let me just get a bowl of ice cream real quick, or let me get this bag of chips and just snack on this real quick, instead of, hey, let me just have an apple, or let me peel
let's jump into that,
something like that.
So you have those temptations around you because you have roommates. Let's talk about roommates for a second.
I have 3. I live with three roommates, 3 of my good friends.
I've had so many bad roommate experiences. That's why I live alone, and I make sure I can make enough money. I can live alone, in a city like Chicago. But realistically, most people, especially if you're not married or have a partner or whatever, you should probably have a roommate, because it's so much cheaper.
Absolutely.
So, but there's so many temptations that come with that.
Yeah, but it's actually funny you said. My one roommate, Dan, he likes to work out Monday through Friday, and then he's pretty good about like meal prepping and stuff like that. So he's the best one. My buddy Scott is. Well, so there's 2 Scotts that I live with.
Scott just got ratted out.
Yeah. So but actually it's funny, I live with 2 Scotts. One of them actually goes by Scott, the other one goes by Lyjack, his last name.
Yeah. You got to separate them.
Yeah. But Scott, he's like 6'3", 6'4". He can literally eat anything he wants, and he like won't gain a pound. He's like one of those people that he's weighed like 175 pounds since like high school. I don't understand it. I wish I had genes like that.
I don't know. 30 might change that. Yeah, see, I always think that those guys that do that, like, but then there's the one every 1 million that just slides by, and they're skinny, they're tall and lanky from the time they're born until the time they die.
Well, it's funny too, because he said he's changed his diet because he wants to put on some weight. I mean, you know what I mean? Just kind of fill out a little bit more.
Yeah, I got a bunch of friends at the gym that are 155ers, 145ers, and they keep talking about like, I'm eating all this food, trying to pack on weight. I'm like, dude, I look at food and I pack on weight.
Yeah.
Like, I feel for you, but.
And then my one buddy, Lyjack, my other roommate, like, he's pretty good about, like, cooking, like, all of his meals. So it's not like I'm surrounded by, like, junk food and stuff like that. I mean, of course, like, we have, like, the Sundays where we're just sitting around watching football and order pizza and stuff like that. Of course, we all have that. And then
but you don't keep it in the house? Like, you don't have ice cream, you don't have bad like Dorito chips and things like that.
I try not to. I mean, occasionally, I'll be like, screw it. I'll buy these and I'll have them with my sandwich at work for lunch or something like that. Just a quick little snack. And one thing that's actually bad that my work did is they put in vending machines with a soda machine next to it, and it's.
Come on, you just got to stay out of that corner.
No, I'm right. I don't go to it often, but it's just like 90% of the things in there are like candy. Or like those little like bags of chips, or like, you know what I mean, like a freaking giant ass Texas cinnamon roll or whatever.
Like Cliff bars and energy bars and things like that. Like they have sugar in them and they're not good. But I would much rather have that than a Snickers. And I love Snickers. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Like that's one of my go-to candies.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess I don't really have a good reason to not be dieting more, and especially since I'm not going to the gym as often as I would like to.
I know, because you're soon coming to jiu-jitsu.
Well, yeah, with all this car stuff I'm going to be doing, like that's
my other hard-hitting question. Like we keep talking about this, when's it happening?
I know, man. It's going to have to be one of these Saturdays where I'm or wait, you said you go Tuesdays and Saturdays?
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday, Saturday. Tuesday. One of those two of those 4 days.
Okay. Yeah, I mean
consistently.
Because I mean, like we've talked about, my schedule's kind of crazy. Like this weekend, or one weekend I'll work Friday through Monday. The next weekend I'll have Friday through Monday. So just one of those weekends I have off, and then when I don't have car issues that I have to work on, it'd be easy. It'd be easy to. You
got to go in any of the next few weeks before the end of the year.
Yeah, because you've got some stuff going on at the end of the year. I've got some stuff going on at the end of the year. So let's talk about me. Speaking of me not dieting and kind of like being fat, let's talk about my trip to Washington D.C.
Dude, how is it? Because
it's beautiful.
I haven't been since a kid.
So me and my girlfriend went in early October, and it was fall. It was beautiful outside. It was like 50 to 60 every day. It was just absolutely beautiful. So we flew into Baltimore. And then we actually took like a train to D.C. and it was only like 45 minutes, and it was like $7. And
flying into Baltimore, did you go during the day or at night? Because flying in is so cool because you go over that little peninsula thing of water.
When we went in, because we got there on a Monday, we landed in Baltimore at 11 o'clock Eastern time. And then when we left Baltimore at like 9 p.m. on Thursday.
So were you looking out the window at the water as you're flying in?
Well, we flew Spirit, so we were just kind of like, just get us there. We didn't have like we had like aisle seats and stuff like that. We were just kind of like, listen, it's a 2-hour flight and it's cheap. We can deal with it, like whatever.
Anybody that flies Spirit, I feel like is just rolling the dice.
It was my first experience with it, and I actually didn't hate it. I get why people are like, oh yeah, this is definitely economy air, but it's like, I was on that airplane for 2 hours. It wasn't that big of a deal for me. Like, it was just, like, cool. Like, I don't know. It just wasn't that big of a deal to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just kind of chilled there and, like, talked to my girlfriend or just, like, listened to music. Like, it really wasn't, it wasn't a big deal. But I get it. I get what the stigma is with taking it. But anyway, so Monday we walked around and did, like, all the monuments. And we did, like, the Abraham Lincoln Memorial. We did the the Vietnam Wall and stuff like that. And some of that stuff, it's heavy stuff to see, man. Because I mean, like just walking the Vietnam Wall and seeing all the different names on there, and like it just keeps going.
Oh, I know. I remember seeing it as a kid, and I asked my mom, I was like, "What am I supposed to do?" And she's like, "Just look at the names." I'm like, "Mom, there's a billion names here."
It's and you start like thinking about it, and like there's a bunch of tour guides going through, so you kind of eavesdrop on them a little bit and just kind of hear the stuff. And man, it's crazy. Like we did that. We did the World War II Memorial, which was it was beautiful. There's big fountain. They have like pillars going around with each state. They have like this wall, which this is one that kind of like struck me. It was a wall maybe no bigger than like your window panels here, and it had like a bunch of like decent size like gold stars on it. I'm like, oh wow, this maybe represents like like each like state, or like maybe certain people who like passed away during the war and stuff like that. And they're like, no, each star represents 10,000 people who died during the war. And you're just like, whoa, okay, like there's like a bunch of stars right here, so what the heck, man?
10,000.
It's just crazy that we didn't have a chance to go up into the Washington Monument because that was under construction and stuff.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah.
So did you get to see Abe?
Yeah, dude, that was awesome, man. It's huge. It's surprisingly big. Of course, you see it on TV. It's one thing to see these things on TV or see pictures of them, but actually like saying like you're probably the size of his foot.
Yeah, I know. That was one of my, like as a kid when I went, that was one of the coolest things I saw.
It was so cool. And then, and then they have the brick when you have your back to the Lincoln Memorial, they have that brick there that says this is where Martin Luther King was standing when he gave the I Have a Dream speech, and you start looking and you're like, dude, this place is huge, and this place was freaking packed. Like they were packed in here like sardines to hear this speech, and like, wow, this is it's heavy stuff, it's moving stuff, and like. Like you said, when you went with your eighth grade trip, or like one of those things.
No, I just went with my mom when I was about in eighth grade.
Yeah, I mean, did you really like appreciate it back then? Do you think, or do you think if you went now, you'd probably understand it a little bit more?
Oh, definitely now because I'm older.
Yeah.
I have a better understanding of things. Because when you're a kid, it's like all chaos, and you're just trying to navigate life and everything, and then try to navigate life and then figure out what history is. No, and then being an adult, you kind of have life understood to a better degree that you're like, okay, I can at least take time to appreciate this.
Yeah, and we were there during the week, so there was a lot of schools that were doing tours and stuff like that. And you do see like half the kids on their cell phones and stuff, and I'm like, I get it. Like when I was 12 or 13, this stuff didn't interest me that much, but
I think that's why there's kid prices and adult prices, because they know that, like, hey, we can't get the adults here if we don't, like, make these kid tickets, because they're not going to even appreciate this.
No.
I think that's why that happens.
Yeah, and then, so that was, like, Monday. The first day we got there was more just, like, walking around, seeing the monuments and stuff like that, and just kind of getting the feel for, like, D.C. and stuff like that. And then Tuesday, we ended up going to the National Archives and seeing, like, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, and that was like so cool, man. That was one of like, I mean, you're literally just looking at like a piece of paper, but it is just so, because you're like, wow, there's George Washington's signature, man. Like this is, did
you ever think about like, hey, maybe I should be Nicolas Cage here and steal the Declaration of Independence?
My girlfriend kept making those jokes, like, oh, I watched National Treasure. I know we're gonna like try to steal the Declaration of Independence, but dude, there's a strict no. You cannot be on your cell phone in that room at all.
Well, like flashes from cameras and stuff supposedly hurts it.
Because it's like super dim in there. You can like, it's so faded. You can like, it's not like you can barely read it, but it's barely hard to read.
Just think, America's been around since 1776.
Yeah,
and we
man.
Still on that same,
yeah, man. It's
Constitution here. We got to update.
Yeah, man. That was really cool. And then we did some of the Smithsonian museums on Tuesday. Then we finished those up Wednesday morning. Then we did the Capitol building, which was really cool, seeing like, where the Senate meets and the House of Representatives. And
did you go by the White House?
We didn't get a chance to get a tour of the White House.
I mean, did you drive from the outside?
Yeah.
Did you see how close it is to the road?
Dude,
Does that not blow you away?
Well, here's the thing. Me and my girlfriend had a reservation for a nice steakhouse right across the street from the White House. So we went and had a nice dinner, got a couple steaks. She had some wine. I had a couple beers. Nice dinner. We actually just walked right over there, and I mean it was amazing, man. It's just, yeah. I think the older you get, you definitely get more of an appreciation for that stuff. And then, dude, going to the Holocaust Museum was, dude, heavy stuff, man. Because they have this room where they have, like, shoes of, like, people in the Holocaust. Like, oh, yeah, they'd make them strip down before they would send them into the gas chambers and stuff like that. And, like, they would, like, and here's, like, some of the shoes and stuff like that. And it's, like, thousands of pairs of shoes. And you're just like, holy cow, man. And you start there's just so much reading. And you just, like, learn new things. And they have one of, like, the rail cars where, like, oh, yeah, they would pack, 70 people in here or whatever the number was. People, if they didn't care if you were sick, they didn't care anything. You're in here just packed, and just it's heavy stuff. It's amazing, and it's heavy, and it's I would definitely suggest going older. And we were only there for 4 days, and it was perfect. And I feel like we didn't even get a chance to go to Georgetown. We didn't,
Georgetown's a cool area.
Yeah, and that's what everybody was saying. Like, oh, if you have a chance, go to Georgetown and stuff. But we wanted to do more of like the history stuff. Like, we also went and did the Arlington Cemetery, and that was, once again, man, it's just...
See, Arlington Cemetery is really cool, and one of my favorite things, like when it comes to the Civil War, of the history of it, is that's Robert E. Lee's property.
Yeah.
And when, the South finally conceded and stuff, the North just took it.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, nope, this is...
So that was there, but they're doing some kind of construction, because they're building like a walkway for Robert Kennedy. They're kind of like adding a little something for him. So you couldn't get up to the house or anything like that. I don't think you normally can anyway.
No, because I don't remember being able to go. You had to look at it.
Yeah, it's at the top of a hill. So we saw like the JFK grave. We saw all the Kennedy's graves. We actually went and saw the changing of the guard at like noon, which was really cool.
I watched that too.
Dude, it's so cool. It's like, you know what I mean? And it's, I don't know, man. And then we went.
See, the more you're talking, the more it's like coming back to me what I kind of remember from being a kid.
And then we went to the last day, Thursday. So we flew back Thursday night. So we still had like a whole day to kill. So that's when we went to the cemetery that morning. Then we're like, well, we've still got like 3 or 4 hours to kill. Let's go to the zoo. We went to the Smithsonian Zoo. Dude, the zoo was awesome. Never seen a panda before. They had giant pandas.
You've never seen a panda?
No, they don't have them in Illinois.
Okay, time out. Well, let's talk about the Illinois zoos. There's 2 of them here. There's the Lincoln Park Zoo, which is like it's
the free one,
or second last free zoo in the country.
Yeah.
And then the Brookfield Zoo, which you had to pay.
Yeah.
Yesterday, or not yesterday. Was it yesterday? I can't remember. Maybe it was a few weeks ago. I was reading an article about the Brookfield Zoo has, they're sending away 11 of their 12 Mexican wolves. And I was starting to write a joke about we're deporting these wolves.
Oh, boy.
And
yeah,
it's going to go into a stand-up bit that I've been working on for a long time. We are deporting these wolves. But, they don't have things like pandas and other cool animals. But also the Lincoln Park Zoo, because I grew up in Oklahoma.
Right.
So out on, by farms. I grew up out in the country. Like, I've seen cows, chickens, that your basic farm animal on a daily. I come to Chicago, right, 5 years ago. We have cows in the zoo. We have chickens in the zoo. I'm like, these aren't zoo animals.
That's like the petting zoo part, though. Kind of, well, not petting zoo, but you know what I mean?
But then I had to think about it. Like, city kids don't get to see these things. No. So it is necessary that they're there, and I'm kind of glad.
Yeah.
But do you think they feel the same way about, because a lot of people don't like how we cage animals like monkeys, lions, tigers, bears, all that, and put them in a zoo. Do they get mad when we cage cows and chickens and put them in a zoo?
It's a fair question.
Where do we draw the line?
Right. That's a fair question. But no, the zoo was awesome because they had the red panda and then the gorilla and the orangutan. They just had a baby. So there was like a baby orangutan. There was a baby gorilla. There's balls of energy. I think me and my girlfriend were sitting watching the baby orangutan for like 10 minutes. And it was just like running around. And like you just saw the mom and the dad just like, here we go. Like, this dude's a freaking ball of energy today. Like, it was at one point the mom just like grabbed him by the foot and was like, dude, you got to eat. Like, you're like,
did he have like a brother? Because the ones at the Lincoln Park Zoo are kind of cool because they'll chase each other around.
Yeah. No, it was just the one, I think. But I mean, that was also another thing that was so cool about DC was all of that stuff, like the museums, all the stuff we want to do. It was all free because they're like, well, that's what your taxes like go towards, like maintaining some of this stuff. And I'm like, well, that's really cool because like we paid for food and like Ubers and Lyfts everywhere, and it was, it was awesome. And for a quick little 4-day trip. I wouldn't go back like next year probably, but I would go back again. Or like I would definitely go back if I had like kids because like the Air and Space Museum was awesome.
There's so much to do. You could do new things every time you go back for each 4 days.
We tried to get into the Ford Theater, but they like that place still does plays and stuff like that.
There's so much history in that little
square
miles.
I guess they have like the gun that was actually used to kill Abraham Lincoln. They still have the chair that he was sitting in when he got shot.
Is that booth up there? Just like nobody can sit there. It's just there for everybody to look at.
Well, because they give tours of it and stuff like that. So I think that I'm assuming that would be part of, part of the tour or something like that. Unless there's like a museum part, I'm not sure exactly because that was one of the things you did have to pay for. It wasn't a lot, but it just didn't really fit into our schedule, so we didn't have a chance to go do it. But yeah, man, DC. It was a blast, and it's as far as like compared to Chicago, like price wise, it's pretty similar. It's a big city, and then once again, I felt like a moron. Well, I guess I kind of knew it in the back of my head without thinking about it, but when we landed and we were talking to people, like, yeah, because I would ask people, where are you from, like Maryland or Virginia, like, oh, well, I'm from DC, and I'm like, oh, which one are you from? They're like, well, technically neither, and I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, well, it's a district of its own.
Yeah, I don't think they can vote.
Yeah.
I don't think they can vote in the presidential elections because it's a district and it's not a state.
I don't know about that.
I don't know if they changed that.
Yeah, I don't know about that per se, but you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that you don't really think about ever, I guess. Mm-hmm. I guess I haven't thought about it since being in school or like a geography class or whatever, but I was like, I guess that makes sense.
Like, that's something I do need to look up, and if I remember, we'll look it up and talk about it on another podcast, that up until I think it was Trump's presidency, like that first year, because I remember seeing something like if you lived in the District of Columbia, you could not vote for national elections because you weren't technically a state, and it had something weird. And then so there was a I don't know, it had to be in the District of Columbia. They had to do like a vote for to basically be annexed in to vote for national elections.
Oh, and one random, it's not even really like a fact, it's just an observation of mine to DC. Lot of cigarette smokers. Ton of cigarette smokers.
Like more than Chicago? Is that what you're...
Oh, yeah. And I was talking to somebody, like one of the Uber drivers or whatever about it, and they were like, and the funny thing is about that, man, they just raise the taxes. They just like raise the tobacco tax out here a little bit.
Dude, the tobacco tax is ridiculous in Chicago.
Oh, and I was telling about that. I'm like, dude, a pack of menthol cigarettes in Chicago, I think, since, I stopped all that a while back, I think a pack of menthol cigarettes in Chicago is like $15,
which is
$15-20, like,
which is crazy because in Oklahoma it's like 7 or 8.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even just when I go up and visit my mom, she's in they're in Lake County instead of Cook County. It's like $6 a pack. Yeah, it's like same thing like by you in Oklahoma. But yeah, so that's a quick little recap of my trip. It was awesome. So any of you listeners out there, if you were in a significant other, or if you want to take your kids, something like that, just a quick little 4-day trip to DC, I'd strongly suggest it. I think it's really cool. It's a ton of walking, so be ready for that. And all that stuff's free, so you pretty much are just paying for food and transportation.
Yeah, as Chicagoans, we're used to that walking. So if you're from here in the city and you're used to walking, it's nothing.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful place. So I'd suggest it. So
let's finish this episode. We're gonna do a segment here, and then we're gonna finish with a little UFC talk.
Yeah, we're wrapping the episode, and we're wrapping the end of the year. How crazy is that, man?
Well, I mean, we still got the whole month of December.
Yeah, we still got a couple weeks, but how crazy is that, man? I feel like New Year's 2018 was 6 weeks ago, and it's.
Yeah, I'm just ready for the the middle of December to be here because I'm ready for school to be over and I'll be officially done with all of college.
I was gonna say if I hear that S word, I was gonna leave and walk out and never come back.
What's the S word?
Snow.
Oh yeah. I was like, whoa, like if I called you a slut, like you gonna give him leave?
Call me that all you want.
Okay. So the segment we're gonna do here is, if you were to fight an animal, what would what's the biggest animal that you think you could win a fight against?
What? Oh my goodness!
And I'm stemming this because I'm bringing back the Arian Foster thing when he said he thinks he could take a wolf in a fight, and then he went on the whole Joe Rogan show and went on, and like that thing just took off. So I want to get that going again.
I don't know, man. It can't be something around here because there's like nothing out here outside that's like extremely dangerous. I mean, there is like coyote. I mean,
dude, there's coyotes that run the city. There's
I've seen like one maybe.
There's an occasional deer depending on where you are in the city. But it doesn't have to be say like just pick an animal from the wilderness. Justin's at some national park and boom, here's this animal. You fight it. And
dude, I don't know. I've literally never thought about this before. I don't. I mean, obviously not like a full-grown gorilla or anything like that, but maybe like a baby chimp or something like that. I don't.
Yeah, see, I don't think so. I don't. We can't be fighting children here. By the way,
that's what I'm saying. So like,
it's got to be the adult version, sir. You child beater.
I can't say like a snake because that's like.
Yeah, you can like a python. Like that thing would be scary. Like I'm deathly afraid of snakes, so I don't even want to fight a garden snake. But here's what I will. I've thought about this a lot lately. I could definitely take a coyote.
I'd take a ram.
No way.
I could beat
No way.
Just you dodge the initial charge and you just kick it.
I don't think it works like that, sir.
You're probably right. I don't know, man. I don't have a good answer about a sheep. I can beat up a sheep.
Because I thought about that too. Because like rams are like small versions of bulls. Like they're just packed with power.
How about a cow?
Well, I mean, a cow's not gonna fight you.
You said any animal.
And it's got to be aggressive. Like, I mean, you're not going to go pick a fight with a cow. This thing's going to be like, just, hey, feed me. I mean, unless you get behind it, it'll kick the shit out of you. But that's about it.
I'll beat up an ostrich.
I mean, that's not a very big,
Are you kidding me?
I mean, they're mean. They'll bite you. But my dad has a friend who has an ostrich farm. Okay, and you could walk in there. Like, those things weren't that mean. And those things were so dumb. Those things were so dumb because in Oklahoma, when it would hail, like those things would go lay out in the grass, in the pasture, or in their pen, or whatever, and they would lay and put their neck long ways on the ground, and then they would get like trauma from hail hitting them in the head if it was big enough, and it would kill ostriches on the ostrich farms.
So what would you pick, Steven?
I think realistically, the biggest, like, baddest thing that I could fight would probably be like the biggest version of a fox. But then I also, because I don't think I could take a wolf.
No.
But I do believe I could take a coyote and a dog. Easily.
Well, yeah.
Of all, adult breeds. Maybe except for like, I don't know, like a mastiff or something.
I'm not scared of them, but there are like some scary pit bulls out there and stuff like that.
Pit bulls I'm not scared of. It's like the big ones. It's I'm
not scared of them either, but yeah, okay.
Or Nikitas, or I think is what they're called. Like those things are big and they're pretty aggressive.
Okay.
But I still think I could take one. Because if you can have it as a pet, even though they can still be aggressive, I feel like if it could be a pet, I can take you.
Yeah.
But something that's not a pet that's been wild its whole life, I'm not sure I could take.
Could beat up a sloth.
You would fight a sloth.
Dude,
you know, if you had a look-alike in an animal, I think it would be a sloth.
What are you trying to say? I'm slow?
No. Not entirely.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I've never really thought about it. I don't know. I can have a better answer for you next time we meet up, but.
All right, yeah, let's think about that. And then if the fans that
I was going to say, I want to hear their answers.
Yeah, just chime in and be like, what's the biggest aggressive animal? That's an adult. Don't be fighting babies here. Like, what's the biggest one that you feel you could take? And I want some answers. Send them in the comment section of this episode. Okay. Send them into a blog. Send them in, just email me, whatever. Okay. Send me a text.
All right. So then real quick, I have a quick question for you since we're kind of in the middle of holiday season here. What would Steven's favorite holiday of the year be? It doesn't have to be the ones that were around.
Easy. Thanksgiving. Because you get everything that you get from Christmas, but you don't have to get each other presents. Yeah. So there's no peer pressure of like, hey, am I getting, my grandma, my dad, my mom, or your cousins, whatever it is, a good present, friends. No, you get to show up and get to enjoy the food, enjoy each other's company, because the best thing I think anybody can give anyone is their time.
Yeah, absolutely. And doesn't Christmas feel like just the easy answer? Of course everyone's going to like it when they get stuff.
Yeah, and my birthday's 2 days before, so my birthday's kind of been overshadowed my whole life by Christmas, so I'm a little jaded by this.
My girlfriend is convinced that she gets to celebrate her birthday and Christmas. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's not how it works in people's minds. See that, and I think I'm well aware of that now. Is people don't they don't even realize it's my birthday now until Facebook tells them it's my birthday. Unless you're my mom and dad, then they're the only two people that remember that. Hey, it's Steven's birthday today.
I would agree with you on favorite holiday. One, and a couple other factors for me too. One, amazing food, of course. Funny we started the podcast talking about that.
I know. See, and that's what I was gonna say, but I'm only doing it just because it's cool to get the whole family together like that. But in reality, my favorite holiday is 4th of July because I like to freedom on and fireworks, alcohol. Yeah. When it comes to just a pure party with your buddies, that's the best holiday. But when it comes to the best holiday with your family, it's Thanksgiving.
Well, then I love the fact that football's on all day. That's my favorite. We talk fighting and stuff, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. NFL is my favorite sport, and then it's very close. It's mixed MMA and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit better.
Football is my first love.
But Sunday's on, every Sunday football's on all day during football season. So I do like that it is on the holiday because when you kind of just want to, you just ate a bunch of turkey and stuff and you just want, and stuffing, you just want to sit on the couch. You kind of just want to watch some football. So that is cool. But also there's football all day every Sunday. No,
that's fair. No, that's totally fair. Okay, so then...
all right, let's jump into the UFC. So how do you feel about the UFC having 2 pay-per-views in December? Saturday, December 8th, Holloway versus Ortega, and then Saturday, December 29th, Jones versus Gustafsson. Of course, there's other big fights on those cards, but those are the headliners.
I'm going to start off by saying I think those are 2 great pay-per-views, but we've talked about this before. I don't know if this was when we were doing our practice podcast or if we've actually posted this before, but... what you run into now is at the beginning of the year, cards are going to be very weak. Not weak, but they're not going to be as strong as they could be because the end of the year has just been so stacked that the beginning of, and of course they're going to have something in their pocket for ESPN because that deal's getting ready to kick in here in, in January, 5-6 weeks. Yeah. But I love it. I mean, we're hardcore, so we love it. And I think they're great fights and stuff like that, but I think it's going to hurt the beginning of 2019 because...
So you took a different route than I was thinking.
I love it. I love the fact there's 2 pay-per-views.
Because you're not wrong, because it's not until March, it seems like, again, or maybe there's usually one good fight in January, but February is usually terrible, and March is usually when it picks back up. But I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about the old formula when the UFC first started, and they would have 2 or 3 pay-per-views a month, and then it came down to where... everybody can't afford multiple pay-per-views a month, so you have to pick and choose. That hurts your pay-per-view buys because what if you have somebody who's a big Holloway or Ortega fan that really wants to watch that pay-per-view, but yet you have John Jones and Gustafsson and then Cyborg and Nunez. You know what I mean? Now it comes down to well, are you not going to buy the one with your favorite fighter on it, or are you going to buy the one with the the better fights on it?
Well, and I believe the co-main event for the Ortega-Holloway fight is Shevchenko-Joanna.
Yes.
So, I mean, you have 2 pay-per-views with 2 title fights. That's amazing
you and
for
I,
hardcores.
You and I both love this sport, and we do realize the Jones, Gustafsson, Nunez, Cyborg. is a way better main event, co-main event.
Oh, absolutely.
But I mean, no matter what time you stack that in a year, that's one of the best ones you can stack in a year.
I don't think it's going to beat, like, it's obviously not going to touch. I'm referring to 232 here, Gustafsson Jones too. I don't think it's obviously not going to touch Khabib Conor, but I think it might beat like a couple of Conors. Like,
hey, we didn't talk about how many pay-per-views that sold. Did you see?
What did the final number settle at?
2.4 million.
Dude, and we talked about it. I was a little surprised that I didn't think it had that much buzz around it.
I didn't either.
But we were way wrong, and I'm happy we were wrong.
And it was the highest selling pay-per-view by a lot in UFC history.
And the fact that it was a fantastic card.
Conor has 5 of the top 6, I think is what I saw.
So I think Jones Gustafsson 2 will probably creep into the top 5. It might be number 5, but I think it creeps in there because, man, watching that press conference, it's like, man, I've talked all the time, I'm done with John Jones. But the minute I see him on stage and it's, hey, this is coming up here shortly.
Both of these guys, it's going to be interesting because they're both coming off a long layoff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both.
And we saw what happened when John Jones fought OSP. Shout out to OSP.
Yeah.
But John Jones didn't look like the John Jones that, tore through everybody.
And everybody said that Gustafsson was John Jones's toughest fight, and I think it's one of the greatest fights of all time.
Only one with a body like his that can match him.
Yeah, I mean,
unless John goes to the heavyweight division and fights like Stipe and those kind of guys.
Kudos to both of these guys for taking it, but it's almost as weird as it is to say, since I think he's one of the top 3 of all time already. Kudos to John Jones for taking this fight, knowing that like this probably is a tougher matchup for him.
Yeah.
Since you got to think if you're in John Jones's mind, he's not worried about DC right now.
But hang on, why? No, I mean DC's always on John Jones'.
Well, he's on his mind, but he's like.
But why didn't the UFC schedule that at heavyweight? Why are they not fighting for the heavyweight title?
Not conspiracy theory. My theory is, they're gonna set up Brock and the DC here early in 2019. They're hoping DC wins that. Sorry, and then they're going to set up the trilogy for DC's last fight in late March, early April. And either he can go out conquering all of his demons.
This is assuming DC keeps winning.
Yes, this is assuming he keeps winning, of course.
See, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like no matter who's fighting, you can't be playing with fire. You have to decide, okay, how many times can we run the risk of this fighter losing or this fighter losing? And I'm talking on both ends, DC and John Jones, because this Gustafsson fight, it's a scary fight.
Well, I mean, Conor was already kind of, before he fought Khabib, he was on it kind of already talking like, oh, we already kind of have something set up for the future. I was like, well, does that future still happen if you lose to Khabib here?
No, but see, Conor's one of those icons now. Like, he could
can
fight
get anything
Diaz.
he
He could fight a GSP. It'd still be big. He could fight Khabib again. It'd still be big.
Yeah,
like Conor can fight anybody. It'd still be
he's
big. But if John Jones was to lose to Gustafsson,
that changes
everything.
Yeah,
I mean, even though that John is like, he's millimeters away from being in the Conor status, I think.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, he's got
the bad boy thing going for him a little bit.
I mean,
I hope he embraces it a little bit more.
Tarnished, but
like, don't sit here and don't be going on cocaine benders or anything, but embrace the bad boy mentality. Be like, listen, man, I'm better than you, and I'm gonna freaking show you that I'm better than you.
I wish that John Jones would show up because he fights better.
Exactly.
I think we should give John Jones a cocaine the weekend before every fight because he fights like an animal.
But one thing, kind of going back to the DC Dan Le Batard interview a couple weeks ago, it was actually a really good interview. He was talking about how the reason DC took the fight against Derek Lewis on such short notice was because the UFC called him. Because, we knew they were struggling to get a headliner for that card. And they called him and said, hey, DC, you've never fought in New York. You want to, I'm pretty sure this is what DC said. Not verbatim, but he kind of said something along the lines of, the UFC called me and they told me, if you always talk about legacy and history. Well, would you want to fight in the most storied building in combat sports history? Would you want to headline that card? And DC thought to himself, why wouldn't I want to do that? And then he also mentioned, like we all know, Brock Lesnar has to be in testing for 6 months before he can even.
Yeah, so he still had a hot minute.
A couple of my coworkers had me throw up that Crown Jewel WWE event, and he ain't looking. He's not looking as cut as he used to. So he's in that USADA pool.
Yeah,
he's in that USADA pool.
Since you mentioned WWE. I loosely follow it, and I saw that Roman Reigns is out because he's battling leukemia.
Man.
Is it leukemia?
Yeah.
Dude, man, I feel for that guy.
I knew
and
a kid growing up.
I hope he kicks its butt.
Yeah, man. A kid growing up in my neighborhood had leukemia, and it was just it's crazy, man. I hope, and it's funny. Well, it's not fun. Okay, that is not what I'm trying to say. There, it's not. Isn't he one of the most universally like hated WWE superstars?
Yeah, like the fans just weren't getting behind them. But honestly,
that's what I was trying to say there. I'm not laughing about.
No, I know. If I feel like if Roman can beat this again, and
he'll come back. Yeah,
I think the fans are going to have a little more empathy for him, and they're going to start loving him more. Which honestly, as bad as that sounds, and I hope it all works out the way that it sounds, is when hopefully he gets to where he can come back. He's healthy. He can do this all again full time. And people will love him more, because if you can battle something like that and come back and still do whatever it is you do at the top of your craft, I hope everybody loves you, because you deserve it.
Isn't that what James Conner had, leukemia, or did he have something else?
I think he had leukemia.
Yeah,
the Pittsburgh Steelers running back.
Yeah, he's the time that Le'Veon Bell wasn't playing this year, he's produced just as okay.
Yeah, his numbers are comparable.
Yeah,
that's what you mean.
It's amazing, man.
We love those stories.
And people who can come back from that. And I mean, you can't find me somebody who's like, oh, I don't want to hear about James Conner anymore. It's like, it's an amazing story. Are you kidding me?
And I hope everybody wants to hear about Roman Reigns in the WWE.
Yeah, that's when I heard about that, I was like, what? Like, I was like on Reddit, and it was like, oh, Roman Reigns announces that he's stepping away because he's got a battle leukemia. But I guess it's something he's been battling for a while.
I follow enough people on Twitter that are big WWE fans, and like, man, they were that night that it happened that he announced that he was walking away.
Well, it was on Raw, right, or something like that.
It was emotional. I was like, I didn't know what was going on, and then I watched a 5-minute clip or whatever, 3-minute clip of it that the WWE finally posted. Man, what trying to hold back tears in front of thousands of people.
Didn't he mention too that he's kind of been battling this for a while now?
For like 12 years.
That's crazy, man.
Or something.
And he's been you
like
think
since college or something.
And it's when we were watching that WWE pay-per-view, it was okay. It took me back because it was D-Generation X, Triple H, Shawn Michaels against The Undertaker and Kane. So I was like, okay, I'm all in. Like that's Attitude Era. That is Justin Tarnowski's freaking WWE. So I was all, even though these dudes are like 50 and 60 and like can like barely move. Like Kurt Angle can't even like look left or right because he's had so many neck surgeries. But we were talking about it, and like they're on the road for like 45 weeks a year.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It is.
Like the stuff that they go through, and like to think.
I was listening to Seth Rollins. He did an interview one time, and he was talking about he's on the road, I think 265 days of the year.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm only at home for about 100 of them, and he goes, and when I am home, he goes, I own a wrestling academy in Iowa. He goes, so I'm always there. He goes, so it's literally almost 365 days of wrestling.
And to think that the reason I brought that up is, and to think that he's been battling leukemia on and off for kind of like 12 years. And doing something similar, if anything, if not more, because he is one of the superstars. So I'm not saying Seth Rollins isn't a superstar, but Roman Reigns is like,
they're all teammates, guys. So they're all up there together.
Yeah.
But hang on, I want to tell you something you didn't know, because, like I said, I do follow that culture. Is Shane McMahon, Vince's son? Yeah. He competed since the Attitude Era and we were kids and this and that. Well, he does jujitsu, and he takes a lot of private lessons from John Danaher and Gordon Ryan. Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And Gary Tonin.
I've always liked Shane.
But like, the Undertaker, his whole shtick was, a lot of jujitsu and stuff too.
Really?
Yeah. And that's why he wears the MMA gloves.
Well, right.
Because a lot of his shtick is like jujitsu, and I assumed he practiced, but I found out there's a lot of them that actually do jujitsu.
That's not really surprising, because with a lot of, there is some grappling and stuff like that involved, because I think that's where like Ronda does look more polished than all these other girls, because in judo she's used to doing those throws and stuff. She's got
great technique.
Yeah. So,
all right, buddy, let's wrap this up.
Yeah. But yeah, man, amazing, crazy stuff, and I hope Roman Reigns gets through all this stuff, and just in case, there's more guests and stuff coming on. I hope everyone has a good and safe holiday season. Enjoy your family, enjoy each other's company. Yeah. Let's enjoy the rest of the year. Watch some good fights.
Dude, I'm excited.
I'm pumped, man. It's good to see you, buddy.
All right, buddy. Another episode of HKR. It's good to see you. Good to have this thing working correctly when we sit down this time.
Yes.
Been a bunch of good guests on. Hope you've listened, and hope everybody's checked them out. What are we?
We are.
Say goodbye. Say hello to the stars above. Let them know.